Movement was supposed to be the shining star of this cycle. Even Trump's World Liberty Finance backed the project after it went live in late December of last year and reached a market cap of over $11 billion at the peak. And back then it was still an ERC20 token, which already was very controversial. Now, 6 months later, the price is at 16 cents, down 89% from the $1.45 all-time high, which means it actually almost went to a $15 billion FDV. There's a huge scandal surrounding Rushi and the founding team. Also, Cooper seems to be involved, who's the other co-founder alongside Rushi. MoveDrop, which was an airdrop that was promised since December, was still not distributed and is still pending. Sentiment is at an all-time low, maximum controversy. And the question is now, where is Movement going from here? Well, since my last video, we now have the official confirmation that Movement Labs has terminated. I'm not sure if that word makes sense here, but basically they cut ties with Rushi Manchi, the founder or co-founder of Movement. But Movement will continue under different leadership. And the new leadership is no other than Torab, which I already kind of predicted in the last video. And now we have official confirmation with it. They also announced Move Industries, but we're going to look into that in a second. I just want to share a few words about Rushi, who I actually invited to my home, to my place around a year and a half ago, actually nearly 2 years ago. This interview we did in November of 2023. And I got to meet a very young, ambitious and humble developer and builder who really wanted to bring Ethereum liquidity to the Move VM and bridge that gap. He also shared a lot of values from Cosmos around IBC and interoperability and the values of the AppChain thesis. And there was also some connections to Celestia. And in that interview, which was only 26 minutes, it was a short one, but I think it was very insightful and very focused on the matter, right? And again, I got to meet a very humble, young, ambitious guy. He was only 21 years of age when we shot or recorded that interview. And I also placed an investment into Movement, right? And I do hold a significant amount of Move tokens that I do not have in my custody right now. It's still with the foundation. But just for full transparency here. Well, now, nearly 2 years later, it turned out that Rushi is likely to be involved in that scandal surrounding a huge market sell-off of Move tokens shortly after the TGE and a very questionable contract that was signed off by the core team. Now, the question is, how much was Rushi actually involved here? Is he the only scapegoat to blame here? And to be honest, I personally do not know Rushi well enough. I do not know Cooper at all, actually. I never spoke to Cooper. I only know Rushi. But I do not have enough facts to have a clear opinion on that. So I would refrain from just calling Rushi a scammer or this or that. But I do understand nowadays that is very, very common. People are just throwing around those terms as if it was nothing. And I also believe, and I also know and understand that if I were to make a video where I say Rushi is a scammer, we have proof, this is this, this is that, and if I were to push out tweets like that, it would get me a lot more engagement. Generally speaking, I'm a very positive person. I always give the benefit of the doubt to everyone. And I also trust a lot of people, which got me wrecked many times in the past. And it also means I'm probably very naive to continue believing that, but that's just my natural. That's just how I am. That's just how I think and believe, right? Now, the question is, where does Movement go from here? To be honest, I don't know if they can pull off a comeback. I don't know if they can restore faith, trust in the project. Also, with this new leadership now surrounding Torab, who is the new CEO and Movement ecosystem architect, and also Will, who is the president and CMO and marketing genius, they're saying, of Move Industries, which is a new organization that they have formed with Torab and Will at the helm of that organization. So that is now the question. What are their kind of next moves? What are their next steps? One of the things that especially Torab has been pointing out is that they finally want to get this MoveDrop thing done with. And that also potentially means, hopefully means, that all slot holders will finally get their Move airdrop, which obviously now is worth a tenth of what it was back in December or January of last year or earlier this year. I do not know him personally very well. I just had a quick chat with him on Twitter, but I do not know him very well myself. So I'm not sure. But from what I've seen on Twitter, he seems like he's very, very committed. He's very passionate about it. He joined Movement. I think, yeah, he used to have a pinned tweet, but I think it was from like summer of 2023. So he was one of the founding members of movement and has been around for a long time. Well, now Rushi has been a little bit radio silent about that whole thing. He came out yesterday though, retweeting a couple of things. There's obviously now all these contracts being shared, and Rushi pointed out that Cooper was the one who signed that, also indicating that Rushi has been thrown under the bus here. And he also wrote 2 responses on those tweets. Look at who signed the contract from Movement Labs and pointing out the date. So in his defense, we haven't heard his part of the story. Obviously, as I said earlier, I got to meet a very young, ambitious, humble developer. But of course, 21 years of age, if you have the chance to also realize 8 figures with 1 click, then that is probably very tempting. But again, I don't know Rushi well enough to really assess and know what type of person he is. Anyways, Movement was supposed to be the 3rd large move chain after Sui and Aptos, which are both ex-Facebook teams basically. So Sui is currently leading by far the Move L1 space with a $36 billion FTV. Also, as I mentioned in the last video, this one was the most talked about project here at Token 2049 in Dubai. So this is the largest one, ranked 13. Then we have Aptos, ranked 40, lost a little bit of steam also after Mo, the founder of Aptos, stepped down a few months ago, 5.7 billion. And then Move was supposed to be the 3rd large one that is also unifying Sui and Aptos, because obviously there was a lot of drama and beef between them after Facebook's DM project was forcefully sunset by the government, I guess. And the code base was taken over by both Sui and Aptos, and then also Move came on the scene, trying to kind of unify them, trying to build a more degen environment, I would say. But now they are in a huge scandal, and I think it will be very hard to come back from that. Another contender here is Supra, which I'm not very familiar with, but and I don't hold any tokens. By the way, I also don't hold any Sui or Aptos. I only have Move from the Move kind of ecosystem projects. But yeah, Supra might be the one to absorb some of that value that is now flowing out of Movement. But we'll see. I think overall, Sui is still king when it comes to the Move VM platforms or L1s. Now, switching gears to the state of Cosmos as of today, we're seeing everything slightly up, but still at very, very low levels. The Fed yesterday had their FOMC meeting, basically leaving interest rates as they are. And a Jerome Powell, who is just very, very well at communicating and using words that basically do not reveal what they actually think. And I think that is a very, very impressive talent. But anyways, Atom, the 2nd largest chain now, $4.30, up 5%. TIA, below $3, $2.51, crazy in my opinion. Akash 161 has seen some slight recovery, went below $1, absolutely crazy. dYdX below $1, also crazy in my opinion. Mantra is still not recovering at all, 36 cents. So yeah, and Move might have a similar fate here, to be honest, because after a huge scandal, whether it's some on-chain mess up, whether it's some leadership mess up, or anything in that range, something large, I think it's very, very hard to regain trust. Babylon, 8.2 cents, still very low in my opinion, up 4% on the day. And Osmo also, yeah, 22 cents, just crazy in my opinion. But looking into the Cosmos Hub and Atom, because it turns out that there are some benefits for very old Dino chains, Dino coins that have been around, battle tested for 2 bull runs already and bear markets, and went through so much that they are just immortal at this point, I guess, right? So Atom, in my opinion, is immortal because it just demonstrated over and over again that it survives the biggest fallouts, the biggest drama, the biggest infighting, and it's still there. It's still in the top 60, even though I wish it was in the top 20, but it's still there in the top 60 and managed to have a double-digit APR over the past couple years with a couple of airdrops, sure. I also wish the airdrops were a lot bigger over the years, but we still got some airdrops. We got the TIA airdrop, the Saga airdrop, and a couple others, but the staking APR paired with the airdrops, I think we're still mitigating at least some of the underperformance in price. Nonetheless, what I wanted to point out here actually is the fact that the bonded ratio keeps climbing up, which is very, very good. This thing went below 54% in January earlier this year, 5 months ago. But now if you look at the on-chain kind of developments, we're seeing that the bonded ratio, bottomed out here in January below 54%, and now we're back up nearly to 59%. And you can see the bonded ratio is just up only, which is very good to see. If you want to analyze that further, you can go on Smart Stake Analytics. They have a very nice tool where you can see also the voting power change over the past 24 hours, 7 days, and 30 days. Remember, the unbonding period for Atom is 21 days. And currently there's 4.7 million Atoms unbonding. But if you calculate that against the amount of Atom that has been bonded, we're still in a net positive. And I remember in December, January, it looked very different, right? There was a double-digit millions of Atom that were unbonded for weeks in a row. But my point really is here that Atom went through a full redistribution of the token, of the team, of the vision, of everything, and it's still there, highly liquid. It is still the second largest Cosmos chain, went through so much, so many iterations of the project and product as well, but it is still there. And I think that alone is a big win, right? In crypto, it's like surviving is a big win in crypto. It's one of the most underrated wins for a cryptocurrency. Now, another project or two projects that flicked on the burn mechanism. Number one, Stride. They have burned 300k SDRD tokens in the past 8 weeks. And the second one is Osmosis. They have burned another, in total 3 million Osmo, but another 164k Osmo that were just burned yesterday or today. The burn mechanism for Osmo works in a way that 50% of the taker fee gets burned. And for Stride, with the upcoming Stride DEX on the Cosmos Hub, I think this fee burn will be accelerated even further. So those two still in my portfolio, both severely underperformed, but I still think that they will have their time. And I think also with the IBC Eureka, this new sense of cohesion, alignment, and unification, that's really the keyword here, that there will also be more synergies between specifically Stride, Osmosis, and the Cosmos Hub. Hopefully also dYdX, that is also set to integrate IBC Eureka, and they also are teasing that something is happening very soon, maybe a Kaito leaderboard, we'll see, but dYdX definitely one to put on your watch list. There also are media partners at the Cito Zone, and we also have a VIP affiliate link, which means you can save the biggest amount on fees if you trade on dYdX and are a trader by using the top link in the video description. Well, next we also have news from BitcoinOS when it comes to airdrops. I already teased in the last video, now we have official confirmation. Bad kits are considered for the BOS airdrop. So get your bad kits ready. And thanks to Hillary and the BitcoinOS team for giving cosmonauts a generous, hopefully generous airdrop, but at least for considering us in that airdrop. Well, we also have news from Intergaze. And for context, Intergaze is a rollup on Initia by Stargaze. So it's basically the Stargaze NFT marketplace on Initia as a rollup. And this is the mint schedule for May. So check that out. There might be something interesting for you if you're an NFT person. One of the interesting ones could also be this one that was recommended by Submas from my team, who's deep in the NFT trenches. This NFT collection is hand-drawn by Kudo, who is the co-founder of RedGang and Mad Scientist. And apparently this is a free mint, amongst others, for bad kit holders, sloth holders, whale shark, Omis, and a lot more. So check that out. Now, finally, I want to end this video with some closing thoughts and some alpha around 3 upcoming projects that are pre-TGE. But first off, I currently believe that we're seeing the Bitcoin dominance rising. I think we're at around 65%. Bitcoin on its way to reclaim the 100K mark, but altcoin still lagging behind big time. And yes, right now, I think a lot of people are getting back to Bitcoin. They're giving up on altcoins because it's just been brutal over the past months, to be honest. And I understand that. And like, I'm all in on altcoins. I don't have any Bitcoin. I don't have any stable coins, not even Ethereum. I'm all in on altcoins. I think the largest altcoin by market cap that I have in my portfolio is actually HBAR, Hedera. And then I think the one after that is actually Atoms. So I'm all in on altcoins. And yes, I wish alt season was there already. But I think we're going to see the same thing that we've seen in the previous 2 cycles, which is that Bitcoin just front runs everything until we reach a point where people are just convinced that altcoins will never, ever have a comeback. Like, and we're almost at that point. I already see a lot of people, and I'm sure people will comment now like, oh my God, how can you not have any Bitcoin? And yeah, maybe eventually I will get Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin, right? I think also for me personally, it makes sense at some point to have my money in Bitcoin as well, right? But I still truly believe in altcoins. And I think that altcoins eventually are what are driving this space forward, right? The true innovation is happening in altcoins, not in Bitcoin. So that's just my personal opinion. You can judge me by that. And if we look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, actually, we can see that since late 2022, we have just gone up only for Bitcoin, which means Bitcoin season since pretty much 2 years, right? Since 2.5 years, actually. And if you zoom out a little bit, then you see where we're coming from, though. And we see how fast it can go, right? Literally here, March 2017, boom, March until, like 10, 11 months, we had this huge alt season that just took over a lot of market shares. And then we had a second one here basically in January of 2021 that lasted until November 2022. And that also was very brutal, went very fast. And like, you want to be in altcoins when Bitcoin dominance is actually at the peak, right? You don't want to rotate into altcoins from Bitcoin when the dominance has already halved, right? You want to do that obviously around the peak, right? And now if you just look at the chart, like we have just seen Bitcoin dominance rising and rising and rising, and it might go higher. It might go to 69%. It might go to even 70, 72%, right? But that's just my personal opinion, my personal strategy. I might be totally wrong and get totally wrecked. And if that's the case, then so be it. But that's just my personal views here. Now, finalizing this video with 3 TGEs coming up. Number 1, Eclipse ES. We talked about it a lot. I tapped like crazy. My score ended up at around 20 million taps or something insane. We also did tutorials, content, how to get started, how to use the ecosystem. But yeah, we'll see where this thing lands, number 1, and number 2, what the tokenomics are, what the airdrop distribution for the Turbo Tap gamers were. But yeah, that one is coming up, I guess, very, very soon. I'm also an investor into Eclipse, by the way, for full disclosure, with C2 Ventures, which, by the way, is launching very, very soon. We are in the final steps of polishing the website. Then Space and Time, one project that is probably one of the least talked about ones, but they just announced also a Binance Launchpad launch. This one is very, very technical, sub-second CK proofs, very fundamental, no meme coin stuff, none of that. And this one is very interesting because this is backed by Microsoft. So Microsoft is backing that project, and they're now also listed on Binance. This is their Twitter. If you want to give them a follow, Space and Time DB, and you can keep track of that project. Also, here's the white paper. They just released V2.0 of the white paper. I haven't read it, to be very honest, but I have to do that and take some time because I'm not a technical person. I'm not a developer, so it will take me a lot more time to understand this. But I really want to read that paper. It is a long paper though, 44 pages. But yeah, that's Space and Time coming up very soon. And the third one is, of course, Noble, the asset issuance platform in Cosmos that already has almost 600 million. Yeah, pretty much 600 million of assets issued from 5 different assets. 2 are coming, Frax and Progmat, but we have USDN, the Noble Dollar, the main one now. That is their own stablecoin. Then Circles USDC, Ondos USDY, Monerium's Euro e-money, and Hashnode's US yield coin. And the main one, of course, right now is USDN that just crossed 82 million. I mean, just the other day it was 70 million. Now we're already at 82 million. So that's the Noble Dollar. And you can also come here and you can earn Noble points. You can earn Noble points. This one is still ongoing for roughly 2 months. And I guess this will be part of the broader TGE for the Noble token that eventually will come. And currently Noble is its own proof of authority layer 1 blockchain in Cosmos, which means there's no native token. There's just a dummy token. And it's basically a permissioned validator set and permissioned chain right now. But eventually with the launch of the Noble token, they will source their own security. So no more Atom shared security, no Celestia rollup, none of that. They will be their own sovereign layer 1 blockchain permissionlessly with their own token. And yeah, source their own security. And eventually also you will get an airdrop potentially if you are collecting points here. So that's that. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. I'll see you very soon on Cryptocito. Until then, stay safe and be good.